Hello everyone and welcome. Today we have a speed build and this is what we are going to be building. Now I have been wanting to do an industrial style home for ages and I don't know why I hadn't gotten around to it, but I hadn't. And I did actually want to do a modern industrial home, ultra modern industrial home rather than a contemporary home, because when it comes to industrial homes, you're generally thinking about contemporary or a contemporary style home. And yeah, I decided, well, you know what, I want to mix it up and go modern, and I think that would be quite cool. There's this apartment building, sort of, I don't know, it's a construction site build kind of thing in progress here in Taranaki, and it actually has like the black and the red brick, and it's got that sort of industrial vibe, and every time I drive past it I'm like, I have to build an industrial home. So it's been well on my mind for quite a while, and yeah, I finally got to do it. I had a lot of fun. I did actually have like a issue with the roof, in the sense that I'm using the half walls for the roof, as you can see here. So just bringing the shape together. Oh, and I do not have a inspiration for this build, by the way. I made it up on the fly. Basically, I was looking around for a modern home that I wanted to use as an inspiration. I was just going to find one I wanted to, that kind of suited what I wanted to do. So yeah, I just made it up. Anyway, yes, there was like a little issue with the roof. Like when I got around to the colouring of the roof, you might actually be able to see it. There was like these little white lines on the corners, like the joins of the roof or the half wall just weren't quite meeting properly, which is kind of weird. Like I've never had that. Well, not that I remember anyway. I haven't had that glitch before. I was like, why is it doing that? And like, because I had such, you might be able to actually see it coming up shortly. But yeah, you can see it in that front, right there, in the front of the column. You can see it on both of them actually. And yeah, they're just like these little white lines. And when you've got like a nice dark brick, or even like the black, which I bring in very shortly, it's really irritating, like so irritating. So I actually ended up changing the roof from how I intended it to be, which is fine because I think it ended up looking better anyway. But yeah, that was really irritating, having those little white lines there. I don't know why they were happening. I fussed around with them for quite a long time, and I did delete that fussing around, because you know, I was just fussing around, and I thought, well, that's not very entertaining, I'll delete that. But yeah, you can sort of see the roof starting to take shape here as to how it's going to eventually end up going to be. So yeah, that's why I changed the roof, because there was just like this little irritating white line issue on the corners. And yeah, I can't work out why that was. You guys might know. Tell me in the comments if you do happen to know what the cause of that is, so that I can avoid it in the future. But yeah, it's not something that I have had such an issue with that I recall anyway, going forward. So anyway, this is starting to take shape as far as the build goes. I'm not too sure if I'm going to talk all the way through or not. I'm just going to see how my voice holds up. I have been unwell and I've been resting my voice, but I am starting to feel better. The cough is reducing a little bit, and I'm a little bit less croaky. So I thought, well, you know what, I'm going to do a little bit of recording and see how I go. You never know until you try, right? So yeah, let's see how it ends up. But you can sort of see the colours coming together there. So I'm going with the brick that comes with the City Living pack, and the black tile is actually from Spade, and then the cream is from Growing Together. Now this is a limited pack build. Let me see if I can remember the packs. So it is obviously base game, City Living, Seasons, Growing Together, Spade, I want to say Dine Out, and I use the two free stuff packs. So first, sorry, the was it? Yeah, it is my first pet stuff pack, and also the romantic garden stuff pack. I actually don't even think I used the romantic garden stuff pack. I had the option to. I don't think I actually even used it. But yeah, so I used this limited packs on this particular build, so it should be nice and accessible for people. I didn't use any kits. In hindsight, I don't know why I didn't use the industrial loft kit because it's designed for this kind of build, but I didn't. So yeah, well, you know, it's just one of those things. I did want to make it very accessible for people to use and download from the gallery, you know, without going too overboard on the old packs. And you know, I was fine without the industrial loft kit. I kind of should do one with the industrial loft kit, because then I can do like those windows and stuff like that. And yeah, oh well, hindsight. I like how it turned out anyhow, regardless of whether or not I use the industrial loft kit. So I'm just using one of the base game fences. You know what I want in the game is a fence where it isn't like a vertical, like I want like a metal fence that doesn't have a vertical rail but a horizontal rail. No, wait. No. Yes? No. No, actually I want like a fence that has a vertical rail. Hang on, I'm just thinking about that. A vertical rail that is taller than what we have. So like quite a tall vertical rail fence. And actually I want a horizontal version as well. I want both versions, but I want them like taller so that you can use them as around the property rather than just fencing for on the like balconies and stuff like that. That's what I want. Anyway, I'm onto the windows, so I'm using the Eco Lifestyle. That's the other pack I use. I knew there was like another pack, and I was like, what is it? So it's base game, city living, seasons, Eco Lifestyle, and grow together. There we go. Anyway, I'm using Eco Lifestyle windows. I was going to try out the Growing Together windows, but there wasn't the right colour, but mainly, no, that wasn't the colour, it was the size that was the problem. It was just a little too wide for the space that I had, and it wasn't quite working. Anyway, so Eco Lifestyle windows, and I'm just working on what I want to do for paving, because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to choose that would coordinate nicely with the house, but I ended up going with black, because anything else, as you can see there, I'm just flicking through and I was like, what do I like? And I was like, black. That looks the best for me anyway. It might be too dark for some people, and that's fine. It's probably not your style, but I really like this. I love the industrial style. I think it's really pretty. I was thinking about it as I was building, and I was like, I don't know if I would like all the raw brick on the interior. So if like in real life, I mean, is that something I would like or something that I would not like? Because I've never like lived in a house where I had raw brick on the wall. It's always been like wallpaper or paint or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I'd like to give it a try if anyone wants to give me an industrial style house to live in. Dream on. Anyway, keep the landscaping pretty simple. I used just the, tall cypress, or I don't know, whatever, the expensive thin one that comes right at the end of the plant menu. I always forget what it's called. And then just kept it to plants and rocks in the front garden, rather than doing flowers and that sort of thing, because the industrial look, I think, lends itself more to the simpler landscaping rather than the going into flowers and that sort of thing. If you can hear a noise behind me, it's my cat deciding to make a racket. Thanks, cat. He's playing with his cat tower, being adorable. Isn't he sweet? So I skipped over some of the landscaping because it's just like placing plants in the sort of the dirt area. That's part of the industrial look, I think, or this sort of garden is having the dirt actually visible underneath, so you can sort of see it's a little bit simpler and more natural. So then going into the backyard area, I say backyard area, it's like not very much of a backyard, but I'm using the Eco Lifestyle lounges. in the little area and kept it pretty simple. That's a growing together bench. Bloop, 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 bloop. Actually, I did struggle a little bit with, just because it's not a lot of space and it's a bit of an odd shape area. I did struggle with like placing things how I wanted to place them, but got there in the end. So I ended up realizing that I had the whole porch, and I was like, why am I not putting this stuff on the porch? The doy. And got there in the end, though. You know, sometimes it's just a bit of a slow process. And I felt like those palms actually worked really nicely vibe-wise for the house. And then I used the Seasons outdoor furniture. I like the colour of them with the brown and the sort of the cream. I thought that actually worked colour-wise really nicely with the house. So I used those throughout the outdoor areas on like the balconies and stuff. Oh, and I just changed that table because I didn't like the glass tabletop. I wanted to go with wood. So that's the only reason that I changed that table. I kept the same colours. I just didn't want the glass. Basically, it's a long story there. Well, no, it wasn't a very long story at all, actually. It was a short story. So then, yeah, just getting a little bit of outdoor furniture out there. As I mentioned, I was just going to use the Seasons one. A couple of the balconies were just little thin ones, so there's no point putting much in the way of furniture on those. Then moving around to the side, I realised I needed a door out there because as you do. And I'm just using, which door is it? I think it's just a base game door, but I can't remember the name of it. But it's one of my favourite doors at the moment. It's pretty simple, but I like the simplicity of it, and I like the plain sort of door handle that it's a long one rather than being a round one. So yeah, I like that door. I think it's a nice door. So this little area here, getting the front of the house shaped up as far as like the entrance area. I'm just realising I didn't put like a welcome mat around the front. Oh well. It's one of those things you forget. I did remember the ceilings though, so you know you guys could be proud of me. I remembered the ceilings. Oh my. I always forget them until I like go in and I start to take photographs and I'm like, the ceiling's white again. Because I always forget. This took a little bit of figuring out. I did skip over a little bit because it took me a while just to figure out how and where I wanted the stairs to go, and then how this downstairs area was going to shape, because because of all the windows, I didn't have a very good space for creating the kitchen, which is what the reason I shaped it the way I did, is because I needed to have like a little bit of wall space to allow me to create the kitchen. And yeah, that's the reason I did it the shape that I did it. Rather than keeping it open, I just looked at all the windows on the walls and I was like, there just really isn't a natural space for me to create a kitchen along the wall. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to have to create an internal wall and go from there. So you'll see the walls and the colour of the interior evolve as I get there. There we go. And then we're going with a brick on the interior. And then I'll have like some black feature walls, as you can see, starting to put some of them in there, and like the corners and stuff. And we'll have like a couple of black feature walls in different places around the room. But yeah, keeping it kind of, because I did think of going lighter and brighter on the interior, and I was like, you know what, I actually kind of want to stick to the colours that I had on the exterior, and just have the outside vibe on the inside, because I don't always have the outside vibe carry through to the inside, because I don't think that necessarily that you have to. But yeah, in this case I decided to. Long story short. So yeah, because I wanted to get us an industrial vibe, and you kind of want to carry that through the interior. It just lends itself to it, I think. So yeah, so I'm using the growing together what's it called, a fridge and oven, and I'm using the Spa Day kitchen counters. So those get a little bit of love there. I do like the Spa Day counters. I think they're really nice. They're plain, but I think they're nice. Like, you can do quite a lot with them. So they work really nicely with like different sets and stuff, which I do appreciate flexibility in items where you can use them creatively. So just using a few bits and pieces. I mean, because I'm using limited packs, like the clutter options were really limited. I didn't have my usual Home Chef Hustle cool kitchen hanging stuff. So yeah, it was a little bit more of a challenge just to find the clutter that I wanted to use. But, you know, kind of got there in the end. And I decided, because one of the trends for 2024 is using mixed metals in the kitchen. So I thought the pans, because they came in like 3 different metals, I thought, well, you know, I'll use a couple of those and then use the steel knives around the other side, and that's sort of bringing in that mixed metal vibe. And I think that mixed metal vibe actually works really nicely with the industrial vibe as well. So just creating like a little dining area. It's pretty simple. I didn't want to put the table up against the window. I just kind of wanted to have that as a nice kind of open space. And that's an eco lifestyle rug, I think. And then the growing together picture going up on the wall. And then I wanted like you know what I really want in the game is like a nice modern looking hutch. You know, just something that doesn't look too dinky. I mean, this is probably the closest we've got in the game, but yeah. A lot of the hutches, I guess it's kind of like a traditional piece of furniture though, isn't it? So it does lend itself towards being traditional, but sometimes, you know, I just want like a modern platey thing, you know, a modern platey thing that I can use in the dining room. There's not a lot of actual dining room accessories that are modern, I find anyway. If there's anything that you guys use that I haven't been using, let me know. I would like to know. So moving forward, we are starting the first of the bathrooms. So I'm just using the Spa sink, the growing together mirror, and I think there's a Spa toilet actually. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think it is a Spa toilet, and just using the robe and the towels and the little bits and pieces just to fill that space. And it's actually a city living chair. I don't often use like a lot of the city living chairs, but I did in this build, which is quite neat. And I'm just creating like a little pantry area. I'm going to close that off because I was like, I think it makes more sense to be like a little room that they could go into. I was just looking for the sliding door. I knew there was a sliding door that I liked that would be a good fit. I was just like, where is it? So I just needed a few bits and pieces to go into the pantry. There wasn't a lot to work with there. Basically, I used the dine out pack basically for that pantry item. And then I realized that I could use the plants from that as well. I was like, perfect, thank you, dine out. And then I was just talking about the city living chairs, and these are like a couple of little armchairs. I don't know, they're not really armchairs because they don't have arms, but you know, they are chairs that came with the city living pack. So I'm going to use those a little bit throughout this build because I felt they kind of did have that industrial kind of look to them. I was going to try some hanging stuff. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to use the Spa hangers and the shoes. This will evolve as we move forward. And then I had to think about creating like a little study in the corner, like a little, I have to test that out and make sure that it's accessible. It should be, I think, though. But yeah, I just thought, well, you know, what am I going to do with this space? I was like, oh, little study. Here we go. So I'm just going to get some of the books across there. Boom, 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 boom. Use the little drifting trick. And I'm just using the towel rack from base game to place those items and drag them across. If you're wondering, the towel rack is good for that, with the exception of like low-lying items. Like if you want to put something on the bottom of an end table, the best thing I find to use is the little cubby from Dream Home Decorator. But if you don't have Dream Home Decorator, then the towel rack from base game is a really good alternative. It's just low items it just won't be able to do because it only sits like at a certain height down the wall, which is a little frustrating. Like you can only get it so low, but it's not quite low enough to put things on end tables, which I discovered recently when I was trying to do it, and I was like, oh, this doesn't go low enough. I wasn't initially looking at putting like a couch or something along that wall, but it just kind of looked odd, and I thought, you know what, a hall table would make perfect sense there because it's kind of like the hall area. So I'm using the growing together hall table along with the Seasons mirror. You know what, one thing I would really like is for mirrors to sit lower, like to have the option of lifting them up rather than them sitting so high. Yeah, having the option because they always sit really high on the wall, and I don't. It's like end tables, you know. End tables are enormous, and mirrors sit weirdly high on the wall. I don't know why. But I'd like the option to be able, I mean, I know you can like build a basement and you can scoot it up and stuff like that. There's a way around it, as there is with most things in The Sims. But, you know, if you don't really want a basement in your build and you don't want to fuss around with it, because it is a bit of fussing around to do that particular trick. Yeah. Having the old mirrors sitting a little bit lower in general would be quite nice. And, you know, I think maybe the end tables, for the most part, there are a few little end tables, like the Seasons end table is quite small. The Dream Home Decorator ones are. That base game circle one is reasonably small. But other than those ones, most of the end tables are obnoxiously large and need to be reduced by about 15% at least. So there's like some that are like huge, and I'm like, oh my gosh, can you just like half the size of this? Like, it's bigger than the chair it's sitting next to. So I'm just mucking around with the rugs and just getting the living room sorted. I am using my first stuff pack couches, so I actually did use that pack in this build. I thought they looked really cute. I like the cushions, and I was able to shape them so they sat in a corner shape, so I thought that was really cute. And I like that. And that's basically the living room come together. I'm using the growing together shelf in the corner and a few of the base game plants, just bringing those together in like a grey palette. And I did separate off the hallway because I felt like that worked a little bit better than having it sort of open flow. I just needed that little divide, I felt. So upstairs we're doing the first of the bathrooms. So as you can see, I'm doing the little shrinking down trick because the bathrooms are only 2 by 2. So to fit the shower, the toilet and the sink in, I need to shrink down the sink. So the second most inexpensive base game sink is the one that you want to shrink down. I can't remember the name of it, but that's the one you want to shrink down, the one that's a sort of squarish shape to it, I guess, not the roundy one. And that shrinks down really nicely and is still usable. Oh, you know what I really struggled with in this build was finding things to put on the walls, like because I didn't, you know, limited packs, so you have limited options for wall stuff, and even with all of the packs in the game, I still struggle to find stuff for the wall. So when I take like most of the packs away, it's kind of like struggle street. So I decided to divide that long room into 2. I was just like, well, it's way too long. I don't know what I would do with it as such a big long room, because the other 2 bedrooms are a decent size anyway. So, you know, I've still got quite a bit of decorating to do with those, and I was like, that one big long room was just too long. I couldn't think of what. I mean, I'm sure I could come up with something, but yeah, it was long, and I thought it kind of made more sense to divide it into 2 and create 2 single rooms out of it. So that leads me to the room amount. So I think this is 4 bedroom, 5 bathroom. So it's a reasonable size one. You know, when I set out to build this, I was aiming to just do like something small, like a 2 bedroom. So yeah, I got a little bit carried away. I was just like, you know, because when you're just shaping the house, it's just like, it is what it is, you know, it's the size that it is. And yeah, so 4 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. And, you know, you've got a little study nook, you've got a pool, but it is mainly bedrooms. I guess I could have put like a spa or a gym or, I don't know, a bigger study or something like that in there rather than bedrooms. But, you know, I think people like to have Sims in their houses. More Sims, or I could be wrong on that. I don't know. I went with bedrooms anyway. So just doing the next little ensuite there. Is this an ensuite? No, it's just a separate little bathroom actually, this one. That's the one that's down the hall a little bit. Ended up having like a little long hallway on that one. I was just trying a few different things to see what we had, but the answer is not a lot. And this is just me struggling with the artwork a little bit again. I mean, fortunately I did have that growing together artwork, so I was able to use that in couple of different variations of that. Oh, it was this little haul area that I did struggle with. I skipped over the struggle because it was just me flicking through, just like eventually finding like black and white art, and I was like, oh, black and white are perfect. That works so well with an industrial look. So it's like, yay. The dining out plant, thank you very much. And then just using like a couple of little portrait pictures from base game and changing the size of those just to add a little bit of, I don't know, difference to the pictures so they're not all the same. So then moving on to the next bedroom. So this is the second double bedroom, and just looking for lamps, and you'll see this room evolve a little bit because I've sort of gone with black, and then it will change as we go along because I'm going to put this city living wardrobe in there. Actually, I really like this wardrobe. I think it's a really great wardrobe. I love that you can actually see the hanging stuff in there and the bits and pieces. I do appreciate that in a wardrobe. I don't mind a wardrobe like that being semi-open. I think that adds a little touch. Anyway, as you can see there, I've evolved very quickly to a brown bedroom. So brown and cream opposed to the black that I had, and I think that's a good evolution. Still worked really nicely with the vibe of the house, but you know, quite different from the other bedroom. So then I've got the next ensuite here. So this one was actually a little bit bigger because of the shape of it. I ended up being able to put in a shower bath from Growing Together, so it's always a nice thing. And I changed the sink to the Growing Together sink. I was like, well, you know what, I may as well do the matching set. And yes, that is the spa day toilet. I thought it was. So yeah, this is quite a roomy little bathroom for, well, in comparison to the other bathrooms, because I was just sort of using those little end corners for bathrooms rather than doing like a big separate bathroom. So yeah, it worked. So this is the first of the single bedrooms. So once again, this is just going to evolve a little bit as we go along. So I will go back to the city living wardrobe once again. Just I'm doing it in a slightly different color and using the seasons end table because it's one of the few ender tables that I had option wise that would fit in that little nook. Actually, it was probably the only, I was thinking about that, I was like, I think it might be the only end table that I had that would fit in that little space. So this was kind of designed as more of a teenager, slightly older kind of bedroom, or maybe like even a guest bedroom, I guess. Yeah, there was quite a bit of window space, so I did struggle a little bit with putting things in there, but it worked okay. And then I decided this would be a kids room, so just working on what I'm going to do there. And I went back to the first my first stuff pack, so using like the cute little kids stuff from that pack, so the bookshelf and the computer unit. I am just checking whether or not there is anything else there from that pack, but nope. So I'm actually going like a slightly different color in that bedroom, so I'm going with like a little bit of blue because I felt like black doesn't particularly lend itself to kids. Like some kids are into black and that's cool, but most of the kids prefer brighter, lighter sort of colors, but bright at least anyway. So I thought blue would be a little bit more appropriate, I think, for the bedroom. It was just finding the little bits and pieces that would go with it, and I did still mix a little bit of black in there, don't you worry. Got there in the end. I was initially going to use that bunny, then I was like, nah. It just, color-wise, it didn't quite work, and I was like, I might put the toy chest in instead, and I think that did work a little bit better. Just those little touches of black that bringing in that work with the rest of the room. I do like that decal from Growing Together. I think it's really cool. There's like some really cool versions of it. And you know what? Hey, I made it through the whole of the build. So, hey, I'm looking forward to getting back to streaming and recording and back to normal. I'm excited about that. But for the time being, we are ready for a tour. So this is how it looks on the outside. I really like how it came together. I like the colours. And I love how the garden actually works with the rest of the build as well. So I like the light bright in the middle and then like the darkness in the brick. I love that brick. I think it's a gorgeous brick. It's probably my favourite brick in the game. So simple, but it does the job. So just going around the back, you can sort of see the little bits and pieces that we've done around the back. Just pretty simple. There's not a lot of space for the outdoors, but that's okay. There's lots of balcony space. You can stand out there and enjoy the view. And I think I did build this in Newcrest. No, San Sequoia. I built this in San Sequoia, I think. Anyway, that's the outside, so let's take a look on the inside now and see how that came together. So this is the entrance area with the hall. I like that the chairs like have a different, like a pattern on it, just brings a little touch of something different to it. Then moving through to the living area, we kept that pretty simple with the My First Stuff Pack couches, and that's our little study corner, a little study nook. And going into the bathrooms are all pretty similar, so I didn't spend too much time taking pictures of those. But then through to our kitchen, actually, which I ended up really liking. I like the layout of it, and the vibe. It's quite actually open. You can sort of see this as quite a family sort of social area, so yeah, I was really happy with how that came out. And then heading upstairs, we've got a little lounge area up there. So a little bit of hanging out spot up there, and then into the first of the single rooms. So pretty straightforward. Into the kids' room there with the blues, and I was really happy with how that came out. I think that's quite a neat little kids' room. And then moving through to the first of the double bedrooms, and that's the brown one that came together, and you can see my signature owls there. Being so cute. And then actually I really like this bedroom with the black as well. I think that came together really nicely with the dark brown rug and the little bits and pieces around the place. So I was super happy with how that came out too, and it's actually quite a nice spacious room for hanging out in. Some seats, you got your dresser, you know, that sort of thing. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.